Cougs indeed. Welcome back to our Big 12 Roundtable. Let's look at men's basketball now from last season and look into the next year. It's been pretty exciting as we welcome you back to this. Jonathan Tavernari is in studio to break it all down. JT, what's up, man?
Okay. Everything good?
Everything's great, man. Everything's great. I did not think that after last season that the offseason could somehow supersede the season. But here we are, man. The mojo around the program is incredible.
I don't remember, and I mean, even looking back, right, learning the history about BYU basketball, I don't remember an off season that had this many, like, kaboom, you know, like, and you think back even to after Jimmer, and that was the NBA lockout. I know him and Jackson had some things about BYU and camp, but the way it was this year, you know, it was boom, Kevin Young, boom, this, boom, that. Yegor, Chris Burgess, the assistant coaches, it just, you know, keeps getting better and better.
And
right?
It's not done.
And
it's not done, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But most of this program is looking back. So let's go back and look back at the tremendous men's basketball season. Expectations were not high at all, yet they go 23-10, 10-8 in the Big 12. That's tied for fifth with Kansas, 6th seed in the NCAA tournament, 16 weeks ranked in the AP poll. JT, they were top 5 in net for a long time. They were number 1 in net. Look at the notable wins. We hope every year it's like this. Kansas, Iowa State, Baylor, San Diego State. NC State goes to the Final Four. What an incredible season. What was your favorite part of last year?
Honestly, from the beginning to the end, I think we have to be realistic with ourselves. Nobody expected that. I don't think the guys in the locker room expected that. And so I feel like because expectations were so low, and, you know, and this is no disrespect to any of the players, right? But I think because expectations were so low based on the gauntlet that is the Big 12, I think the whole season, I start thinking back, you know, just, you know, going back and forth with you and Ty doing post-game shows after San Diego State. And we're like, wait, are we really this good? Is it happening? Is it happening? And then as we go on and we blow out teams, you know, I remember being here for Wyoming, and then as conference started and you went on the road at UCF and you get all these different wins and Iowa State and then Baylor, and you're playing, you know, head-to-head with Houston at home, and you're like, wait a minute, like, you know, it's going to happen. And I think obviously culminated with the NCAA tournament, but to me the best part of the last season was the fact that these guys went above and beyond, and because our expectations were so low, I feel like we were on cloud 9. And then, you know, halfway through the season, we're like, wait, we're really this good. And then you can just kind of like just enjoy the ride, you know. So that, to me, that was it.
It's not only about the view from the top. You got to enjoy the hike as you go up. Yeah. And that hike was awesome. Certainly the view from the top was fun. It was disappointing to lose to Duquesne in the first round. I think a win in the NCAA tournament would have really helped sort of the narrative at the end of the season. But I think we've understood that that was special last year. What was the best win? Because people start with at Kansas. That's probably where I sit as well. Yeah. But you're beating 2, 3, 5, 8, 9 seeds in the NCAA tournament. NC State, who goes to the Final Four.
You know, I would personally go with Kansas, right? Growing up in Brazil, I would dream about, like, oh, blue blood, NCAA tournament, like you're in college. And so you have to go with Kansas. I understand that Kansas had a down year.
Hey, that's not our fault.
But that's not on us. And you beat Kansas with Bill Self and with, you know, a plateau of Burger Boys and McDonald's All-Americans and guys that are making crazy NIL.
Burger Boys. I love that, dude.
You know what I mean? Like, you have all of these different things. You have to, I would personally say it's Kansas.
Yeah.
But then looking at last year and what we were talking about before the segment, as the season, 2023-2024, Iowa State has to be up there. NC State has to be up there. Although, like, we steamrolled the NC State, but it has to be up there.
Very early, but got them.
Because of where they ended up going, and they ended up having a crazy run. And I mean, I certainly wish I could go back to November and put some money on NC State to go to the Final Four.
You wouldn't be here. You'd be on a yacht in Italy, dude.
Right. And so, because who could have guessed, right? Crazy. But again, it's those sorts of things. To me, one thing, it gives me hope. Being somebody, I only won one game in the NCAA tournament, right? And that was 2010 with Florida. A lot of the fan base are like, well, we need to win the NCAA tournament. We need to win the NCAA tournament. There's a lot of things that play in there. And, you know, I fully believe that in terms of statistics and results, I played in the most successful era of BYU basketball, and we only had maybe 2 or 3 NCAA tournament wins. 2 with Jimmer, then we had the Iona game that Brock Zylstra went crazy.
Yep.
And so I feel like you have to be able to get to a point that the players understand the moment, and nobody better to understand the moment than Kevin Young.
Okay, Mark Pope gets the Kentucky job. We did not think we'd be saying those words a year and a half ago, but here we are. So BYU goes out and they get the top paid assistant in the NBA in Kevin Young. A splash hire that has a Woj bomb and has had massive waves throughout the world. What's the best part of this for you that BYU hired Kevin Young?
So to me is the fact that they hired the top assistant coach in the NBA. You know, obviously because of who we are and what we stand for and whom we represent, the aspect, the religious and family aspect and the gospel aspect for him is huge. But if you can separate church and state for just this comment, and you got the #1 assistant coach in the NBA to drop out of the, I don't want to say race because he turned down a few head coaching jobs, or, you know, so is the word, to then come to little old Provo to come be at the Marriott Center. That right there is mind blowing. And so that to me, and then obviously, you know, with some of the guys that he has signed, my mind is still in shock that, you know, we have signed some of the guys that we have.
A Russian projected lottery pick from Real Madrid in 25, 2 ESPN top 100s in Brody Kozlowski and Elijah Crawford, Keba Keita coming down from Utah, Mawit Mag from Rutgers, and they're not done. What excites you the most about this roster for next year?
So, you know, I think that when you mix the experience of Dallin, of Trevin, of Richie, and even Foose.
Who you also had to get to come back. There was work done there.
You know what I mean? And so I think when you get these guys coming back, and then you put together with, you know, Yegor and Mawat and Brody and all of these new guys, and they're not done yet, and Elijah, what Kevin has accomplished in the last 7 weeks, it's unheard of. And I will say this, growing up outside of the U.S., you know, the prospect of playing in Europe for me was always, you know, you want to play in the NBA, but just for me it was playing the EuroLeague and playing overseas. And to get Yegor, a top prospect in the EuroLeague, I mean, he dominated the EuroLeague juniors last season, and he was cooking everybody. To get that kid who was probably going to get some minutes in the ACB, in the EuroLeague, I'm not saying the trajectory of Luka, but he was kind of like following those footsteps, to drop out of there to come to the U.S. That to me, it still stays in shock because it is unheard of. Now, I know there's an IL and there's this and there's the collective, but still, when was the last time you heard of a lottery pick turning down, you know, a place that produces NBA talent, you know, night and day, to come to BYU?
It's never happened.
It never happened.
Sean Bradley came to BYU and is the best player BYU's ever signed at a high school. He was a member of the church. He's from Utah. It's awesome to get those guys too, but you combine it with something like this?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And to me, that to me is you just got to call it the Kevin Young effect. Does it happen without Kevin Young? Absolutely not.
Nope.
You know, and to me, you know, you have to say thanks to what happened in the past, but you do have to look in the future. And, you know, extremely excited to see what Brother Young accomplish in the next few years.
Wait, I told him with Steve the other day, he's got to get the, you know, family tree, ancestors near me thing.
Yeah.
We got to find out what it is to Steve. And then they told me to brig him. I think it's 5 greats, maybe something like that.
Okay.
So there's a relation there, which is awesome. But JT, we appreciate the time, man. We're going to see you soon enough in November, December. We'll be hanging out here watching games. It'll be awesome, man.
And I'll propose that if we win a national championship with Kevin Young, that Brigham Young statue get replaced with Kevin Young. So
How dare you? Blasphemy.
Throwing it out there.
JT bringing in hot takes. We appreciate it, man.